Hello, my name is Dina and welcome to DK Designs. I'm here to demonstrate to you the Tunisian Knit Stitch. To start off, I have completed 20 stitches for the Tunisian foundation row in which to start a project with. The first loop on my hook is going to count as the first stitch. So the Tunisian knit stitch is completed by inserting the hook from front to back between this front vertical bar and this back vertical bar. And it looks kind of odd because I think the yarn is a bit split, but you will see as we go along. So I'm going to insert my hook front to back through the front and back vertical bars, draw up a loop. I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug so I have my tension correct. And there is the next one. There's a front and back vertical bar there. Insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop. And the next one. And the next one, until I have 20 loops on my hook. Okay, so the last stitch though, I'm going to go through the front and back vertical bar like that, draw up a loop and yarn over, and that's going to create a nice selvage edge on my project. Okay, now I'm ready for the return pass. So the return pass is yarn over, go through one stitch, one loop. That's going to create the selvage edge. Yarn over, draw through 2 loops, yarn over, draw through 2 loops, yarn over, draw through 2 loops. Now I'm holding my yarn this way in my left hand to give me the tension that I need so that my loops aren't too tight or too loose. They're just right to create a nice row of stitches across my project. Okay, now that I'm at the end, I'm going to make sure that this final loop on my hook is nice and snug, and I'm ready for my next row. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you because with a Tunisian knit stitch, sometimes the back vertical bar moves to the left a bit, and it can get confusing as to where to put the hook. So I'm going to skip this first front vertical bar, and the next front vertical bar, the second one, I'm going to go through the front and the back vertical bars and draw up a loop. Now as you can see on this third stitch, the back vertical bar has moved to the left a little bit, but I'm in control of the yarn, so I'm going to go through that. And as you now, it's beginning to look a bit like knitting. So I sort of use the hook to push that back vertical bar where I want it. Because like I said, I'm in charge of the yarn. The yarn is not in charge of me. I can tell the yarn where to go. And I'm giving my work a bit of a tug so it's not too tight, so that I don't create too much curl in my project. Tunisian crochet can create a lot of curl because you're always working to the right side of the fabric or project that you're creating. And so there's different ways to prevent curl. You can work with a hook a size larger or half a size larger. So you can see that back bar, it has moved to the left, and it almost looks like I don't know where to put that hook. But if I look closely, I see there's the front vertical bar and the back vertical bar. And I'm going to move my hook to the right place. Look at, see that? That's there and that's there. And it just looks like a bunch of spaces. But I know this is the front vertical bar, that's the back vertical bar. I'm going to go through that and sort of move that back vertical bar over to where it needs to be. Then the last stitch, I'm going to go through the front and back vertical bars to create that salvage edge as I described before. Now that is beginning to look like knitting. I'm going to yarn over, draw through 1 loop, yarn over, draw through 2 loops, and this is now my return pass. Yeah, there's a bit of curl, and this yarn is not very smooth. It's creating a bit of drag, so I have to take more charge of it so that it does what I would like it to do. And there is that row. And like I said, now it's beginning to look like knitting. The Tunisian Knit Stitch. Here is a completed dishcloth using that Tunisian Knit Stitch. As you can see, it looks a bit like knitting. I put a slight border around it in single crochet to reduce that curl. And as you can see, there's not much curl to that at all. Here's the back. It does look like a little bit like pearl knitting. And this is quite a thick, I don't know if you can tell, it's quite a thick, dense fabric. It's very thick. I mean, you could use this as a pot holder. It's quite thick. And so it's going to use up a bit of yarn as well. So just keep that in mind if you plan on doing a project with the Tunisian Knit Stitch. You might want to make sure that you purchase enough yarn in order to do that. So thank you for watching. Join me again for another Tunisian Knit Stitch or simple stitch or some other kind of stitch.